Things I have learned as a person that has a apparently partially paralyzed stomach. And the only reason I say apparently is because I fit all the symptoms for a paralyzed stomach, but my GI specialist never went fully through with, getting me diagnosed. I and because of that, it is mentioned in my documentation that I more than likely have a partially paralyzed stomach, but yeah, I've never been tested for it, which is something I hope to fix. But things I have learned, because I also choke quite often, and it's only a partial, so I can still kind of breathe through the food. I mean, if it really gets stuck in there, then I just slam myself against a counter. But if it's partial, like it normally always is, I drink something carbonated because it loosens whatever's stuck, because it usually gets stuck right at the bottom of my throat, and that sucks. So every time I swallow, it gets stuck right at the bottom, and if I eat more food while something's stuck in my throat, it just makes what's stuck in my throat worse, obviously. Duh. So I drink something carbonated because it loosens up the piece or pieces of whatever's stuck in my throat. And yeah. And then what I've also learned is best for me is to not eat so much processed foods. So that means mostly vegetables for me, because I don't like chicken, and my stomach doesn't tolerate it very well anyways. I don't and then I don't eat much pork because my stomach doesn't tolerate it anyways, but I do try to maintain a little bit of it in my system because I don't want my stomach to lose the ability to digest what it can kind of already digest. But I do stick to certain things, like when I'm out in public, like tacos, Japanese food. Let's say we go somewhere Pacific, like Chili's or something like that. Then I'll just look for the vegan or even the gluten-free options, which there's that too. Because I also have problems digesting gluten. I have problems digesting pork, gluten, chicken, milk. And gluten is in everything, so that's kind of hard. Thankfully, it's not in soda or water. And yeah, sometimes it's even in. And this is why I have to be careful, because, some things say they're gluten free, which most things are, because when they're gluten free, they're double processed, which just leaves a small trace of gluten, if any, in the food. But sometimes, even when it says it's gluten free, there might be another product that has gluten in it. So I have to check at what point the ingredient is on the list, because the higher the ingredient on the list, the more of it there is. So, yeah. I hope to get that figured out, because I do want to be able to be like, yeah, I want to eat more. Because to be honest, right now I am, if I have one meal a day, I consider that lucky. You know what I mean? And I'm supposed to have 6,000 calories a day. And if I don't have 6,000 calories a day, it makes my normal symptoms worse. And you might be like, but why do you need 6,000 calories a day? Because I spend 5 times as much energy doing basic things, like sitting up and stuff like that. So, because to be honest, my body's constantly vibrating. That's the easiest way I can put it. It's constantly vibrating. So, for me to be able to stay still in a certain way, it takes a lot more energy. And even when I'm trying to stay still, I'm not completely still, but I'm more still than I would be if I were to let my body just do what it wants to do. You know how many times I've fallen already today? 5. And I know I'm going to fall way more than 5 times, and that is the one symptom that I cannot handle having anymore. And also, I also have headaches, which have gotten worse. And I also have problems with my hips because one hip is higher than the other, and I have to get it tested for arthritis, which I forgot to ask for last time. But thankfully, I'm seeing my doctor in July, so we can get all of that figured out. And I can't give up meat entirely because I have a problem with iron. And if I try to get iron from like fish or vegetables, I don't get enough of it. So I have to stick with beef. Which is okay because, to be honest, steak is my favorite thing when I have to, deal with my iron problems, which is often. And then, it's just like when you can't function enough to eat because your stomach hurts, because it can't digest certain things. And so you have certain safe foods that you're like, okay, I can eat rice. I can have eggs some of the time. I don't have it all of the time. I have it some of the time. But I do try to keep it in my diet because, again, it's the same issue of I don't want my body not to be able to digest something because that limits me a lot. And I'm already limited to a lot of things. Like, I can't have normal ramen unless it's gluten-free. And I also have to be careful with the seasoning pack because I have sensitivity to sodium because of my high blood pressure, and I also have salt headaches if I don't have enough salt in my body. And then I have headaches on top of that because I also have migraines and blah blah blah. It's not fun. And when you can't eat because your stomach is a muscle and your muscles kind of suck at working, that includes pretty much everything in your body, you're just like, okay, but my thing is, I have to be where my body's at because there were times where I haven't been where my body's at, and it was almost like torture. It was torture because I spent a year and a half in my bed because I couldn't move, I couldn't function, and then I finally got onto medication that helped me move and helped me function better and all of that. And then for a while I wasn't on it because insurance, and I needed a new primary, and I finally got a new primary, so I'm finally back on the medication, and it took me 2 weeks to get back to normal, which had me changing kind of my dosage for about 2 weeks. Like I was I was taking the dosage I was supposed to, but it knocks me out. So I had to be like quite in and out of it for 2 weeks. And so I took the dosage I'm supposed to take, but I had to take it within a different time frame than I would normally because I was off it for so long.